This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Marriage Be Hard podcast, where we talk all things marriage with some of our favorite couples and some of those people we just met. My name is Melissa.
Kevin Fredericks.
And this podcast was spawned as a result of our New York Times best-selling book of the same title, Marriage Be Hard, available everywhere books are sold and available on audio versions that are called audiobooks is what I was looking for. Yes, so make sure that you go pick that up. People are still enjoying it today, almost a year later. Crazy. We should do something for that.
We should
Okay.
have sex.
All right. So what I want to do right now is introduce our guests today. I'm sure you have seen them all over Couple Talk. I don't know if that's a thing, but we're going to call it Couple Talk.
Sure.
Insta Talk. Couples TikTok.
Instagram
Talk.
YouTube, I don't know.
Yeah, YouTube. All of the things, I'm sure they have come across your timelines with their very aesthetic, hilarious, relatable content. And that is none of can we call you Lexi? Because now I feel like I
Call
know
her
you.
Lexi.
Yeah, if you call me Lexi, that makes me feel like
Alexis
we're
is
normal.
weird.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
if
it.
you call me Alexis, I feel like this is not
Okay.
normal.
Feel like
We
a
don't know
job
each other.
interview.
You're a stranger to
Okay.
me.
Right, she
So,
sets up
yes.
a little time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm like, oh.
So she got her shoulder out today. So Lexi, okay, and Brian Cole.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh,
We're
we're-
so excited.
We are too. I'm very, very, very excited to have you guys. So listen, the way this works on this podcast is we're gonna talk about marriage, obviously, but we're also just going to talk because we've been chatting and having a really good time that we needed to get the camera started
Yeah.
to just allow you guys in on just what's going to be, I am sure, just a really great, authentic conversation. Gems will be dropped, laughs will be had, but we also just gonna talk and get to know each other.
I love
Very
it.
good.
I'm here for
That's
it.
how
Very
we are.
good.
That's
Yeah,
how we are.
we
That's
love
how
it.
we are.
Very good. Okay, so I did read a couple articles from y'all, but I'm acting like I didn't read them.
Oh.
Did we write articles? No. I'm playing.
The blog posts when y'all did interviews.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
when y'all
okay,
did interviews
okay.
and people wrote about y'all, I had read them
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, let me get to know them a little bit. But I'm acting like I didn't read them.
Gotcha,
So you
gotcha.
can let the people know who you are. In the event, they haven't read those same articles that I had read.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Got
very
you,
good.
got you.
All right, so we're just going to start from the very beginning. How did you guys meet?
I would like to make a disclaimer before we start this.
Oh,
is a
well,
story.
this is
Love
already
a disclaimer.
great. We already
Big
love
fan of
this.
disclaimers before
So-
we start.
And it's not about me.
Oh,
I would like everyone to not judge my wife when I tell this line that's about to get dropped.
okay.
Okay.
But the line is that my best friend dated her best friend,
Okay.
but I was dating the third best friend at the time.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm already feeling it.
Okay.
I'm already feeling it.
This got juicy.
It's not
Already
that deep.
feeling,
That's why I said
attacked.
that I had to make the disclaimer because it's not that deep. It had that part of it is how we got introduced.
But you have to say it because it's like, well, how did you start dating? Well,
Your
he
head
was
immediately
dating,
goes there.
He
Yeah.
was dating my, a close friend at the time. And so,
Oh, at the time, so y'all ain't friends no more.
so,
So
we're not,
Because you had
Anyway,
stole her man.
It sounds bad.
that's
That's
what
worse than it
people
really
think. That's what people think.
Okay.
But no, I was not trying to talk to this man.
Okay.
I promise you, I wasn't trying to talk to this man.
I was
Were
dating,
you the single friend then?
Yes.
This don't make it.
She
Now, why you gotta ask that?
Because I just
Melissa,
needed the clarity.
However,
Melissa.
I just needed the
Guard
clarity.
your men. Guard your men.
God.
Your
Hide your
homegirl
kids.
is
Hide your
plotting.
wife.
Your homegirl is plotting.
And see, this is why I come on here. I try to share my peace. So I just want to
listen.
say, I was not looking for this man.
Okay.
I was talking to other people, but I didn't make it. It wasn't serious. So I technically was single.
Okay.
So I was dating. We dated for 2-3 months. Like it was
Oh,
not
sure.
serious.
Okay.
We dated. It didn't work out. And at the time, I barely knew Lexi. We had met. I went to like 2 things where the whole group was there, right?
Yeah.
So
And I wasn't paying attention to this man.
Okay.
He even tried to like message me just because we were in the same friend group. And I said, why you talk? Why? We don't
Hey,
even
man,
talk.
watch out, bro.
Hey,
You don't need to be
I
over here.
messaged her
Hey,
because I
yeah.
wanted to
Watch out.
understand why it didn't work out with me and old girl. Cause she cut me off. She cheated
Oh,
on me. She
okay.
didn't. I was like, what
Wait. Time out. I need more context. Hold on. How old are you?
18.
We're 18.
18.
Oh,
Okay.
that was baby.
You're a
baby.
baby.
Okay.
You're a
Y'all
baby.
gonna be bad.
But I
Yes.
knew better. I want to put this on. I knew better not to mess with my friend's boyfriend. I was not.
No.
No.
For real.
Yeah.
Not at
I
all.
was not messing.
So
but yeah.
so ends up, long story short, that girl ends up cutting that whole friend group off except for Lexi.
Oh.
Everyone's cut off. No one's friends with her anymore. She walks away from that whole group. Lexi is still her friend. Lexi and I started randomly seeing each other in the group settings, right? And we started hanging out with groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, she still wouldn't even like entertain conversation. But again, I wasn't looking for that either.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was like literally just talking to her. She was still putting up a good stiff arm.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Nothing was happening. Months go by. All of a sudden, she and I started becoming friends.
We started lightly becoming friends.
She
Okay.
asked the girl, "Are you okay if I even become friends
this
with
is
her?"
great. This is a really great
Get your redemption
story.
arc, Lexi. Here's the
Yes.
beginning of your redemption
Yes,
arc.
this is the beginning.
Thank
Her
you.
friend
Thank you.
says,
Thank you.
"I don't care. All good. Doesn't matter."
Yeah.
About 2 weeks later, Lexi gets cut off.
It did matter.
It
did
It did
absolutely
matter. She has a picture
mattered.
of you in her room and she throws darts at it.
She throws.
No. There's a like I think Brian tried to reach out like a few years later, and when I tell you she went off,
That
it was in
conversation
her
did not go
spirit.
well.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
She probably follows you guys, so I'm sure we're going to have some backlash about this. But it's okay.
Not on my parent podcast. Ah! She can't keep getting away with this. She can't keep getting away with more darts.
New round. Amazon.
I hate this.
So at this point, it was like, well, you're cut off. I'm cut off, and we're friends. We legitimately, for a good period of time, became best friends.
Wow.
And we
Yeah.
we were not interested in each other. We
I
were not
was
trying to
dating
date.
somebody else sometimes, you know.
I felt cool in college, talking to a couple different girls and everything, and we would share with each other. Like we were.
Did you guys go
legit
to the
best
same
friends.
college?
No.
No,
Okay.
he went to U of M, which is a nicer school.
Is that Michigan?
Yeah.
Ann Arbor?
Yeah.
Where'd you
know,
go?
I didn't have the best of grades, so I went to Wayne State. I went to OCC first because my parents like you didn't get good grades, so you go into a community college.
Yeah, I got
Prove
you.
yourself.
Prove
And
yourself.
then I
Let's
went
make
to
sure you're
Wayne State.
committed.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I went to Wayne State.
So
Nice.
so at that point we had been best friends for a good while at that point. And then I don't know, probably a year later, we started to really toe the line between friends and lovers and friends.
Yes.
And then we acted like we weren't dating, but we really were. And then it became official in 2011.
2011. So yeah,
Nice.
we've been all together for 13 years. We've been married for 8 years.
Wow.
Dang.
Okay.
We got married at 23, so we were young.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like us.
Yeah,
Well, we was a
yeah.
little younger, but.
No,
Yeah.
21. Was
21 and
21?
20.
Yeah.
2021.
The funny part about that was just thinking about this morning when I was driving back from the gym lifting weights.
All of
Plug.
that was necessary.
Plug
All
for
of
my
that,
muscles.
yeah. Little plug.
When we
He's
were
in the gym tonight.
Lifting
Right.
weights,
Yeah.
45s, no big deal.
when you outside of LA, people go to high school, they go to college, they get a good job, they get married, they have children. So us getting married at 21, 20 wasn't that abnormal.
Sure.
We were actually the third of our friend group to get married, and probably the fourth that has to have children.
Wow.
Right. So then we moved to LA, and our kids' parents are like 50. So they see us and they're like, "What? Your parents are like in their at the time in our 30s thing." You know, and our son will graduate high school this year, and we will be 40. I'll be 41, and
Wow.
she'll
That's
be
crazy.
40.
That's incredible. First
Wow.
of all.
Right?
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I live in y'all best
And most
lives
people are
right now.
like still having, their parents are much older by then.
My
Yeah.
parents, when my little brother graduated, my little brother is 8 years younger than me. My mom had him when she was 42.
Oh,
Wow.
They were 60 when he graduated high school. I was like, dang.
Wow.
Got called grandparents all the time.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
My parents
That's gonna
are
be
50.
Angel.
Really? Oh, yeah, it
Amar's
is with
gonna
Amar.
graduate in 13 years. He's what? He's not even 5 yet.
No. Amar's
She'll
what,
be
3?
56, 57,
Wow.
58 maybe.
I mean, we are, and that's, we're going to be older.
I'm sorry, but at that age, you cannot properly parent. I'm sorry.
No.
You're too tired.
No.
You're too.
Oh,
He
the-
never got whoopings.
Oh,
It's not fair.
It's the baby. The longer you parent, the less you care.
yes.
The more
the
children you
grace
have-
runs out.
The grace
Yeah, the
runs
grace
out.
runs
runs
out.
out.
Grace runs
Everybody
out.
who has like 7, 8 kids, the oldest are like, what? The youngest, he gets away with murder.
No,
Yeah.
the-
Oh, yeah.
He's smoking in the house. and stuff.
Cursing folks out, don't have no
Yeah.
chores.
The baby, man. Nobody cares about the baby.
But there
Yeah.
is a sweet spot because we got married at 2021. We had our first child at 23, Joe at 25.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very young. I feel like I want a do-over.
Oh, guys.
I would love.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
mean like
going to.
with a
I would-
baby?
Yes.
Oh.
I feel like
Oh, I
because
didn't know that's what
I-
you were saying.
Yes.
This is why we
Be-
have Monty.
Yes, because
Oh.
he's
The-
not quite
the
enough,
dog.
but also because I feel like being financially stable. Brian's like, no. Being financially stable,
Listen.
being more like aware, like who I am as a person, being able to show up differently because I'm not working a full-time job.
That's fair.
It's like I hear you,
want that.
But
We're in,
But
the,
also-
we're in the thick of it. We're
I'm
in the
getting a
trenches
vasectomy.
right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting a vasectomy.
We're in the trenches right now. So hearing that is like, wow. You know what? I will bring Elijah to you.
Please.
And I will
How
let
old is
you-
Elijah?
3 months.
3
Oh,
months.
yeah,
bring him.
little,
The
Yeah.
little.
thing is, though, at this age,
No, he's really
Melissa
cute.
has
That's the
forgotten
problem. Yeah, he's really
Yes,
cute.
you've
That's
forgotten.
the problem.
because she holds my niece for a moment in time. She ain't
Take it
had
for a
her
week.
for a month. Have her for
Spend
a
the
month,
night.
right?
But I feel like at this age, I'm going to be like, please cry so I can remember every tear.
No.
Oh.
Please poop
Please.
so I can remember
Do we have to
everything.
take a break for an ad?
Let's take a break from this episode and talk to you about BetterHelp. Obviously, this show is all about marriages and how we can build and sustain better marriages. And if you are in need of help and you and your partner are having a hard time communicating, you're just missing each other, what will help you, I assure you, what will help you is having a third party come in, assess the situation, and mediate, and oftentimes kind of interpret what you're saying and then communicate that to your partner. And for whatever reason, they'll hear it better. And let me tell you something, you'll also hear it better from your therapist about what your partner is saying. It works, okay? BetterHelp is here to help you do all of that. Sometimes in life, we're facing tough choices and the path forward isn't always clear. Whether you're dealing with decisions around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Therapy isn't always all bad. Sometimes it is this really great thing just happened, and for some reason, I don't feel deserving of celebrating, or I feel like I actually didn't do something to earn this, or I don't deserve this. And a therapist can also help you realize the good in you and help you celebrate your accomplishments so you feel worthy and deserving and can celebrate all the things that you work so hard and get rid of your imposter syndrome. I know that's one of the things that my personal therapist helps me with is getting out of my head so I can celebrate me in the way that I deserve and the way that my work says that I should be celebrated. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to suit your schedule. You're going to fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Okay. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MBH today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MBH. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode. And now let's get back to it. Yeah, let's come back from the break. Thank you so much for breaking with us. That wasn't a real break, but it was a break. Thanks so much to our sponsor, if we had one.
Jesus is your
Yes.
sponsor.
Ain't he good? We love you, Jesus. Thank you so much. Okay, so
All the church people in.
Yes.
Church kids all together.
yes, amen. Okay, so wait, so you guys met 18. This sounds like y'all dated for
5
I was
4
gonna
years
say
until
a while.
marriage.
Okay, so then that makes you guys how old when you got married? 23?
It was at the cusp. Yeah, so we dated when we were 19. We got married when we were 23.
23. Okay. And then so how old are you guys right now? I'm doing math. 31, 32?
32.
32. Just
Listen.
turned 32 in July.
Don't do me. This math is mathing today. Okay. She's
Kill it.
on. The
Kill it.
calculator in the mind is working. Okay. So tell us a little bit about how did you propose?
Oh.
And maybe if there was something significant about the wedding day.
So I will say this: Brian is like great at proposing, surprising. Like he asked me to be his girlfriend. They were like, "Oh, that's a proposal."
Oh, well, tell us this story.
The proposal's better.
Oh, okay. Tell us that story.
So, the proposal,
Both
I'm
of
a,
them are really
I'm a
He's
Based
ranking
believer.
himself.
yeah.
I was cool with the boyfriend girlfriend, but the proposal I was
A
in
year
my bag.
later, I
Yeah.
was.
Well,
How
it
long?
kinda,
4 years
well,
later?
just you should talk about how it flowed into the proposal too, because how you asked me to be your girlfriend.
Briefly.
Okay.
So what I did was different roses mean different things. They signify different aspects of relationships. So what I did is essentially take different color roses that mean different things to us and what our dynamic is. One means friendship. One means
that the
romance.
yellow one?
Yes.
Okay, I did know that. The math is
Wow.
math and the rose colors. Listen, today's a good day.
I'm curious how you knew that because I never knew that until he did it.
I don't know how I knew. Because I'm actually not good at trivia. I don't know why I knew that. I feel like I know more than that one, but when I was hoping you would say yellow so I could be like, is that the friendship one? Okay, yes.
So I wrote a letter for each rose describing what that dynamic meant to us and how that factored into our relationship. So then I gave each letter and rose to a different person in her life that was really significant to her. And each person in her life who had the rose, who had the letter, was stationed at a place that meant something to us. So she went around like basically a relapse of our history together, and she got to experience that relapse of history with someone that was special to her.
For a girlfriend?
Yeah.
For a girlfriend.
Dang.
So then she gets back to the house, which was the last one, and I was there. You know, I'm full regalia. I'm looking nice. You know, I'm smooth.
Nice
I told
back
her.
then.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
We
don't
were
show
both-
pictures. We thought we were nice.
Nice is relative to the year. That
Yeah.
Everything was baggy. So she gets there. There's red rose petals all the way down from the door to
Represents
downstairs.
love.
I had like a private dinner set up in our basement, and she got there. There was
Wait,
a
you
red
guys were living
rose.
together and you had bought a house
No,
already?
No,
my
my
parents' house.
parents.
Listen, we are young.
And we church kids.
That's why I was like, hold on a second, time out. I missed that part of the story.
No.
18, we couldn't afford anything.
Yeah, okay.
So we're in my parents' basement with now she sees the final rose, which is red, and I explained how the romantic side was now a part of our story.
Dang.
So
That's beautiful.
This is outside.
Someone needs to
we're
steal
not-
that
we're
for a
not even-
proposal.
You're not even ready for what he did.
Let's hear the
Okay,
proposal
let's hear the
story.
No,
proposal.
wait, you gotta finish.
Well,
What did you have your brothers
so then
do?
this is dinner. My parents went cooking, but I created a menu so she could decide what she wanted them
Aw.
to
And her
cook.
parents are
I had my
his parents
little
were
brother and my older brother dressed in tuxedos as waiters. So this junk was hilarious. I
This
got to
is
humble them
fantastic.
in front of her. It was
Wow.
awesome. They
This
did
is
it for
fantastic.
me. They love me.
I
Yeah.
also want Brian has done this many times with his brothers, having him do stuff for me. And y'all need to cash in. If y'all hear this podcast, y'all need to cash in.
That's real.
Have Brian
You
do
got the
something
older
for
brother
y'all.
in on it?
The
Yeah.
younger and the older brother.
How does the older brother?
2 years older than me.
So, and then 8
8 years younger.
8 years younger. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So the
Proposal.
proposal centered on that theme, but
Okay.
I am a dramatic person. So I was like, not only do I want to surprise her, I want it to be like a big surprise.
Epic proportions.
Yeah.
Epic
he doesn't want me
proportions.
to know at all.
Okay.
So
But he made
our
a mistake.
relationship is going really well at this point. We're ready for marriage. Great. I said, I have to throw her off so far. So what I did is I actually conjured up an argument, and it was a complete fake argument.
Oh my
She did not know about this. I got her, I planted seeds, and I got her to ask me if I was planning to propose. And I, for lack of a better term, I didn't go off, but I made a very strong stance that, are you kidding me?
So you gaslit her.
Basically.
Gaslighting.
I said,
heavy.
you
little
think we're
gaslighting.
ready for marriage?
She
Really?
we were driving. He stopped the car. He was like, Lexi. Like, look, you see my face? Lexi.
Oh, this is so dramatic.
Like,
dramatic.
do you think we're really ready?
Give
With
him
the
an
car
international-
stop?
Me and you.
In the writer's strike, in the SAG after strike, give this man a
Because
job.
what do you say? You're just like,
My
oh,
bad.
yeah,
Exactly.
no. I don't.
Exactly.
I thought we were, but this energy is telling me we're not. I don't know where I am
And
right now.
I'm a G, so I was like, what?
I don't think we're
Marriage.
ready either.
I was like, yeah.
Have
I
you guys
agree.
ever
And I was
seen
like, I'm gonna
Friends?
go
Do you
home
guys
and
watch
cry.
Friends?
No.
Oh wow, I became really white in this room.
I was like,
All right.
"Bro, gauge the room, buddy.
The analogy I
And
was
down
going
with
to
Jennifer
make.
Aniston for what you did to Jamie Foxx.
Child,
You was never cool, and you show like that.
I love me some Jennifer Aniston, but when that happened, I said, "Now, girl, you should have
Shut it,
sat there
why
and
you
ate
do
your
that?
food. Just
you
sit
do
there and
that?
eat your food."
Moving on. So I conjured up this whole argument, made her think that we weren't ready. But the part that I conjured up was I asked her on a really nice date, and I said, I want you to do your nails. I want you to do this. I never asked her to do her nails. So that's what gave her the thought that, wait, is this a proposal? And then I
Got
shut
it.
it down hard.
Got it.
I went too far because when it came time for the date, she was still
Pissed.
pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right from
And
the-
she
was
said,
upset. I was upset.
I don't even want to go on this date with you. We're not even. Went off on me. And I said, woman, I'm taking you on a date. We're going to get through this. Get your dress on. Get out. To the point where I had a limo pick her up from her apartment.
And you're still like fully unaware.
No.
I'm fully unaware.
So I'm on the phone
It's a
with
mental
her.
game at this point.
I'm on the phone with her. The limo driver tells me I'm out front. Great. I call her and I say, hey, babe, I'm ready. Can you come out?
I didn't know there was a limo outside.
She didn't know there's a limo. She just thought that I'm not gentleman enough to come to the door, which I always do. But she was like, and you're not even going to come to the door?
I'm through.
Yeah, this is a cherry on
You're playing
top.
a dangerous game,
I'm
bro.
finna.
There's a
Don't
real
worry.
fine line.
Don't
There's a
worry.
real fine
I'm
line.
coming downstairs. I'm finna come downstairs. Don't worry.
Keep in mind, I'm 30 minutes away from her, so I'm like, this has to go well. If she thinks she's not coming out,
Say,
unless
Brian,
I
come
come
at
to
the
the door.
door. Oh, I was like, Brian, come at the door right now.
There is no proposal. So I get her to literally just walk outside. She sees the limo. I got her so good that she still didn't know she was getting proposed to.
Absolutely.
She was like,
No,
he's
it was a mental
apologizing.
game.
Anger was clouding your vision.
She thought I was
Yes.
apologizing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ah, good.
I told her we're going to dinner. She's dressed beautiful, whatever. So she goes to
I thought
our
it was an
favorite park.
apology limo.
Right.
An apology limo is a very funny statement.
So she gets driven to our favorite park. We have a lot of memories there. And the park has a pier, and I set up the pier as an art gallery. So I had like drapes lining the entire pier.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Tables with something that again was very meaningful to us, and I had like descriptions as if they were art pieces, like collector's items.
This is so sweet.
So I wrote out like what this moment meant to us, what this item meant to us, how it was a part of our story. And I, again, similar concept, walked her through a time lapse of our history. And I did it so that she was by herself. There was no one else there because I wanted her to understand and digest that she was about to get proposed to and have that moment for herself.
Yeah.
I like
without
nostalgia.
family,
Aw.
without everyone, all the cameras, like take a moment, breathe, enjoy this moment, be in this moment,
Yeah.
and go through our history. And then I brought her back in the limo. She went to the other side of the park, which is where
Wait.
I was.
Time. Did that happen? Were you was
Yes,
it
I was
clicking for
digesting.
you?
Like I was hyperventilating by myself in the middle of a park. I was like, oh my God, like this is this is happening. And so I'm looking around, looking at all the stuff, and I'm like crying already.
Yeah.
Because you're
And
fully aware.
Yes, but I thought that we were still going to dinner, and he was going to propose at dinner.
Okay.
But when I saw the limo turn, it's like the park is
Two
just
sides.
yeah, it's two sides. So he just turned, and people were like, "Why didn't you see them on the other side?" Because it's like a forest. It's not like a real park. So you see like a bunch of like trees, so you can't see across. And so when they came, then
Okay, tell us.
Then
Okay.
I was there. Shoot. I had her whole family, friends, everyone, and there's a pathway that leads down to the lake where the whole pathway is lined with roses, and then I had like a little pedestal with the ring on it, and like at the bottom of the pedestal was all the different color roses that I gave her when I asked her to be my girlfriend. So there was all those represented as well.
I almost said this
Hey,
nigga.
I knew it. I knew it.
That
You've
is
said it before.
outstanding work.
Yeah,
was
That
was
might be
definitely-
one of the best proposal stories we've ever
I've
heard.
never heard one better.
That
And
was
that-
good. To
I'm
bring it
telling
back
you.
to the girlfriend thing was like
Solid.
elite.
It was
What was
solid.
the time in between the two?
4 years.
4
4
years.
years?
Yeah.
I had
I
grown up. I was
remember
like, I gotta
all of
top
it.
Weeping?
this. I gotta-
Oh, I was shaking walking to him, and then I had to stop for a minute because I'm like, I gotta take this in. This is real. Like,
Y'all
this
need to
is-
understand though, Lexi is a thug. She is a totally humble under God woman who
That's funny. Yeah, he spelled thug there, you guys.
It's good work.
Yeah, that was great.
who believes that she is not gonna cry. She told me in our history, like, I'm not gonna cry at the proposal. I'm like,
I mean, I have a moment.
Oh, so now you gotta you have a goal in mind.
Vendetta.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna
going down.
break you. I'm gonna get tears out of you.
break you.
You will lose.
I will break. What is that?
Drago.
Batman. I will. No, I was thinking of.
Oh,
Batman.
you thinking of
I'm
Bane?
thinking of Bane.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Bane.
love that.
I
scene.
will break you.
Oh, it was such a good moment.
Yeah, it was good.
He was Batman.
That's
was
Kev's favorite
Oh,
movie.
you
Oh.
fight like a
Oh,
young
No, no, no.
man.
Okay, Ryan, you got to do your voice.
You were born in the dark.
Ah, I was molded by it.
This is Kev's favorite
I
line.
love
Right.
it. 'Cause Batman was just it just didn't work, and he broke his back.
Yeah,
Broke
no,
his
that
back.
He
was
sent him to a hole to do
that movie.
push-ups.
That trilogy is in my top
It was
5
heartbreaking.
for sure.
It was
People
heartbreaking.
you guys are just raising up in the
Yeah,
guests.
yeah, that's Kev's favorite.
I
Love it.
love it. I love it.
I keep thinking this is your phone. This is my phone. Okay, continue.
I'm just checking for the food, guys.
Well, at this point, the only thing I'll mention is a funny moment that happened. Now I get down on one knee. Everyone's weeping. Everyone's a very beautiful moment. But keep in mind, this park has houses that line the outskirts of the park. So as I'm in the middle of my proposal speech, I'm on one knee, about to do this thing. And all you hear is this kid run by, and he goes, "You're gonna get laid." I was like,
Freaky.
"Well,
Hilarious.
maybe in a year." But,
Well,
Wow, you can't even plan that.
No,
it's
it's a great memory.
And the person that I am, I got pissed. I was like, the moment
Yeah.
is ruined.
Ruined my moment.
Start everything.
Ryan's
over.
a perfectionist. So he was like,
I am.
I didn't even hear the guy.
That's
I'm just
so
in love.
funny.
That's
yes.
funny.
Oh, this is the sweetest.
That's great.
This is freaking fantastic. Okay, so wait, I have a little bit more questions. What is your major?
political science. I was gonna be a lawyer.
Poli-sci.
Yeah.
What did you think it
Yeah.
was?
I don't something artsy.
No.
Something a writer or
Oh,
something.
no.
I don't know.
You-
Oh no.
She is the creative, artsy, like butterfly child. You know, like I'm just gonna go with the wind, and whatever I feel like doing today, like that was her. She's gotten a lot more structured the longer
And
we've
you're
been
the
together.
string?
But
And you're the string.
So
So let's go-
We gotta talk about this.
okay,
Hold on,
let's
hold on,
talk
hold on.
Talk about this.
I'm being attacked about the question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Because normally that's not how it works in my mind. So there's always exceptions to the rule. But
you're
you
gonna
were
hear it. You're gonna hear it.
Okay, you
'Cause
were
I-
sounding very kite-like a little bit.
So
Floating away.
okay. You're gonna
Okay.
see.
All
You're
right.
gonna see.
Fast forward. Okay, so how did your wedding? I don't know if you can top the you got a high bar. Okay, Brian, listen. I don't know how you top anything after you have kids, after you have
Brian has topped
anniversary.
1 year anniversaries. Brian, he keeps saying he's going to give me socks to start low.
I have a
again.
philosophy. Every
gotta
5 years,
recalibrate.
give
You gotta
socks.
recalibrate.
That I
Bring
do
the
that.
bar all
gotta
the way down.
recalibrate.
Let her
Is
be
it always
upset,
5?
and then
I
bring it
do it
back up.
every other year.
Oh,
I'm a every other
that's
year.
I
real.
was we were realizing that if you don't, it just gets out of
gets
control.
pressure. expensive,
Yeah,
too.
It gets
And it gets
expensive. We were just
expensive.
talking about this for
Budget for these
vacation.
things.
We were our kids, which also is such a blessing. As I said, we're like we usually do a pretty good family vacation. So we're like, where do you guys want to go? Just throwing out to the kids, right? Because we like them to be involved in the family vacation. Then me and Melissa picked the ones just for us. My youngest son was like, with not a hesitation in his breath,
Not a single one.
oh, you know what I'd love? To go to Brazil to see Christ the Redeemer
Absolutely.
or Machu Picchu.
This
we
is
were
no
like,
joke.
What do you know about Machu
Bora
Picchu?
Bora would be
Y'all
acceptable.
Y'all elevated.
Yes,
So
this
Yeah,
is Josiah.
elevated.
we looked-
Not Isaiah, because I know y'all are thinking it's Isaiah. This is not Isaiah.
Yeah.
This is the actual
And in his
Disney
defense,
child.
our youngest son
This is Joe. He loves
he's a
taking
burgeoning
pictures.
photographer, so he loves to see like
I'ma get
beautiful
shot.
things.
I love
right?
that. I love that.
So we look into Machu Picchu, and because Brazil was like it's like during their carnival, some season that like
Yeah.
Christmas
Yeah.
is wildly expensive, and you
Yeah.
need to be booked out a year.
Wow.
So our travel agent
Yeah.
was like, she sent over the thing, and me and Melissa were like, "Ain't no, you got Machu Picchu money? This seems like more of a Vegas Christmas or New York because we're not finna." This lady was
Machu
sending home,
Picchu.
even for me, and I love to
Yeah,
have
love it.
extravagant hotel. I was like,
Yes.
nah, because we can't do this every year. We just
Yeah.
went to Egypt.
No.
We went.
You gotta take breaks.
You got to come
yeah,
back
so you
down.
guys just went to Dubai too.
Yeah.
We went
Yes.
to Dubai.
That was beautiful.
With-
you guys look great.
With
the
Tabitha
Tabitha
Brown.
Brown.
Period.
Listen.
Period.
We thought we were doing okay in life, and we are. Tab, Chance,
Listen.
they doing all right.
They doing all right. They doing all right.
There's levels to this
There's
because
levels to
There's
this.
There's levels.
because we sitting here with y'all studio. I'm like, they doing all right.
Okay and all right. It's relative within your friend
We
group.
doing all
That's true.
yeah,
That-
we
now
doing
that
okay.
is true.
They
Let's-
doing all right.
Let's take a break real quick for our sponsors.
Yes.
We're back from our sponsors. This podcast ain't been getting no sponsors, so we probably didn't get one. But we're still having a good time interviewing people we like. All right, now we want to talk about two things before we go on to the rest of the list
Yeah.
of questions. The kite and the string thing.
Let's just go into
and
it.
then
Kev.
you had a question for me
Yes.
before
Let's
we
go.
forget.
Okay, so let's set it up. So we always ask people about their relationship dynamics because in most relationships you find that someone is the string, someone is the kite. Our personal definitions, or at least in our dynamic, I am the string, like definitively. Kevin is the kite. Definitive. We don't overlap. There's never a time I'm kiting and Kev stringing. he is always the kite. I'm always the string. And so what we have found is that for me, the kite is the person that is very much big dreamer. They are the delusional one. So it looks
You
like
all need a
this.
little
You all need a
delulu.
little delusion.
You got to be delulu to
Yeah.
be in this business and
So-
be in this life.
So what happens
true.
is
It's only crazy till it happens.
Amen.
yes, but then
Come on now.
but then
Somebody need to make a shirt.
correct.
Yeah.
But then the string is always like, so in the event of, let's create a backup plan. So for example, Kevin's like, let's do a show. Okay, great. If it don't sell out, what's our contingency plan? There's no way it's not going to sell out.
What do you mean?
So you've been listening to Will Smith. Plan B.
Yeah, exactly.
What plan B?
plan
There's no
B?
plan B.
I've met him. I don't know if you know this.
Oh,
We
we'll make sure to
do.
include the
That's
picture.
amazing.
Yeah,
We'll
put a
make sure
picture
to
here
include.
because
yes.
I've
Include
never
that.
talked about this
Yeah,
publicly.
yeah.
But I met Will Smith one time. But yes, I agree.
We'll make sure to
Wow.
post
Every
the picture
show's
that
gonna
no
sell
one
out.
has seen.
Every show we make is gonna be sold
Because that
Not
is
only
his, that's
sold.
his mindset. Like
Yes.
that's what he always talks
Yeah.
about.
CBS, ABC, NBC, HBO. They're all gonna be fighting
All
for
chips
it.
are in.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how many times that has not happened.
Correct.
It has not happened once.
It's not going to happen this
That's
time.
on
But the
period.
next
It's gonna
time,
happen this time.
Yeah, it's gonna
the
happen.
next
very-
time they're fighting over it.
So that's very like the give your definition of who you think a kite is, and then I can give my specific one for a string.
Of who a kite is?
Yeah, like what is your definition of a kite?
To me, a kite is a person that just lives life very grounded. Grounded.
No,
uh,
kite, not string.
Oh, kite. I'm sorry.
I was
flying
like,
in the air.
you-
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
He in there.
Kite,
I'm playing.
you're right.
They-
You're right. You're
they-
right.
they ain't
Everybody
on the
right.
ground.
Everybody right. Oh yeah, I think that a kite is. I mean, I think you just said it.
Okay.
I don't have a different.
Okay, so they're big dreamers. They're always, everything is going to work 100% of the time. Always, always, always. Every show will be sold out. Every book will be sold. This will be phenomenal and amazing. They're the ones waking up in the morning and spitting out, okay, so I was thinking about this. Like, they're that person. And the string, we can go with you, but we're also like, okay, so I'm going
Just
to keep.
continue. It's the strings
I'm
in the
gonna keep the
production
job.
budget. You have your budget, sound, camera, and you also leave a contingency
I've got something
part
to say.
of your budget.
Okay, go ahead.
Usually 10%, 5 to 10% of your budget is contingency because something's gonna go wrong. You just don't know how. People like me are like, boy, we don't need no contingency. Everything gonna go right.
Right.
People like
Practice.
Melissa are like, of course that's the plan. But in the event it doesn't go right, we'll just have this set aside. And then what ends up happening usually is
The
The
kite.
set aside.
Right.
the set aside is necessary because
The
So
kite
you need a mixture of
says
both. You need a
Yeah.
mixture of both.
you need a mixture of both.
The budget is 20,000, so we're only going to spend 20,000.
No.
And the
We're gonna spend
string,
18,000.
18,000.
We're gonna come under budget.
The string is going to say, if the budget's 20, let's prep for 30, maybe even 32. And if we fall somewhere between that, we won.
So this is
I
why
think this is why we struggle with this.
we cannot be fit in a box.
We can't
okay?
be. We cannot
We are
be.
Are you
dynamic
guys hybrid?
individuals.
I think that we are. I think
Kite and
We
string
are
are
hybrid.
different depending on what
It
the
depends on
thing
what
is.
category we're
Yes,
talking about.
depending on the category.
I am very heavy kite in some areas. I'm very heavy string in others. Lexi is very heavy kite and very heavy string, and this is why we went back and forth. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, so give us examples of what's your typical dynamic. It sounds like your typical is you're the kite, you're the string.
I cannot tell you from a day if we're talking typical day to day, because there is typical day to day, and then there is the visionary goals like dreamer. So yeah, I would say day to day, Brian is the string
100%.
and I am the kite.
Okay.
I was like, "Where are we spending money?" I'm like, "That's how I
Lexi didn't know what a budget was until she met me.
I didn't know what a budget was, but
Kevin still doesn't know what a budget is.
creators, Yeah. But yeah, I would say from a day to day perspective, that is that I would say that you're definitely string, and then I'm the kite. From a dreamer's perspective, as far as visionary and ideas, business goals, Brian is definitely the kite.
And we have done a number of different things over the course of our relationship that I was like, baby, this is gonna work. We're gonna make a lot of money, blah blah blah. Some of it made money, some of it didn't. And she supported me through all that, but it was definitely like you can definitely tell I'm like, we're gonna be here, we're gonna do this, and I know how we're gonna get there, and Lexi will support that. But then other times Lexi has to be like, no, like
Let's think about
you
it.
need to
Let's
like
think about
take a
this.
step back because you're moving too fast.
I was
You're-
just
'cause
about
I
to
move
say,
fast.
oh, you are a kite.
Yeah.
I
When
was
it when it
just
comes
about to
business,
ask you.
when it comes to business and like
And sometimes it can switch, right? Because a lot of people, because, I'm full time with social media. So I do a lot of our social media. I kind of do all the emails and all that type of stuff. And then also the creative, all of those things. And so I had to learn how to be more of a string to myself. Like, I feel like I was very much of, we got to go, and we got to do this. But also, Brian had to slow me down and say, like, hey, let's think about this. Let's not spend all this money on this. And, yeah.
it really is dynamic. Like it depends on what
That's fantastic.
factor and what scene we're in, and
Yeah.
we take on different roles.
And especially with social media, I feel like that now I'm like, let's go. And you can he can slow me down when it comes to, the business of social media.
But then, yeah, I don't.
It
there's
can
a lot
be
of nuance
meshed.
to
It
it.
can really be meshed.
I love this. I don't think we've ever had a couple
It's the
that
first ever.
was ever.
It's usually very definitive.
Yeah, it's very
and,
definitive.
and consistent.
Yeah, and so it's actually fantastic to hear that you guys are a hybrid. You're able to. It almost sounds like you did start definitive, and then you learn
Yes.
from each other.
Yes.
and now you're able
Exactly.
to.
Yeah.
Lexi has grown so much in the area of like organization, scheduling, like just maturing the overarching side of being an adult, honestly,
Yes.
because we've got together when we were kids. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't know any of
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
But I have embraced the side of, like, it's okay, we can be spontaneous. We can try this out. Let's go for it. Like, let's make it happen. We can drink, it's very interesting how we have played off each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's beautiful. I really do. I think that is also marriage, where you're able, because one of the things that I say about this dynamic is that without the string, which again, I so am, is that you have no lift. And so as a string, you're just on the ground. And there is a lot of, which I do find comfort in, there's a lot of safety and stability in being grounded. Because, I'm not up in the winds and in the rain and
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
atmosphere, and it's dangerous up there. So I don't mind being on the ground. But every now and again, you do need that kind of levity in
Yeah.
life. You
But-
need that spontaneity.
And I think it depends on what your vision is for you and your family. Our vision is to not be average. Our vision is to get outside of the mold. And we don't want to be cookie cutter. That's never been our story. That's never been who we want to be. And so I had to embrace early on that if I don't want to be cookie cutter, I can't live a lifestyle that will only lead to that, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Something needs to change. Something needs to shift
That's
in order for
good.
us to break outside of that mold. When you look at like the structure of people getting a 9 to 5 and this and that and the other thing, we've never been siloed to just that. We've always had something else going on. We've always been dynamic and in that regard, and we have to if we're going to go to a different level personally.
Yeah. I adore this idea. And the other thing is with the safety, you do become cookie cutter. There is safety in knowing when I press this down, this is the cookie cutter, staying with that analogy, it's going to come out exactly the way that I pictured because it's in the shape of this cookie. And there's not a lot of variables there. I find a lot of comfort in that. But the other thing about the kite, as I always say this, without the string, they can fly so close to the sun in their dreams that they'll burn.
Icarus.
Yes, exactly. And so you do have to find the beauty in the dynamic that is a kite and string. And honestly, because we were married so early, and I don't even know that we've recognized kind of this dynamic in our relationship, there really wasn't an appreciation for this dynamic. And without it, this is the words that you can use. We've never said this to each other, but I feel like we've probably thought this. A kite can come across as irresponsible. And that irresponsibility is spontaneity. That irresponsibility is spending money that we don't have. It's betting on yourself, but I'm looking at it as irresponsible because we don't got no money to be betting in the first place.
Yeah.
So get out the casino. Just get out. The other thing though is that the string can be looked at as unsupportive because all I want to do is stick to a plan that feels safe. And so once you learn to have an appreciation for what Kevin brings or the kite brings, and he has an appreciation for what I bring as the string, there's balance and you can share that and learn from each other and grow your relationship, your marriage, but also your business.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think two things I want to say along the cookie cutter analogy. I used to work at Boeing. And Boeing made a buttload of money making 737s. Yeah. And they got so good that they made 737s and it was like a cookie cutter. Like it was perfect. The problem was they delayed innovating because they were making so much money doing this. And then Airbus was beating them because they didn't have an assembly line of planes. And eventually you got to make new stuff. And Boeing was just like 737, 737. That's all we're going to do. And Airbus was like, we're going to make this new thing. We're going to do this. And then people were like, dang, this Airbus stuff is kind of cool. And when Boeing switched, it was kind of too late. Right?
It's like the movie Air, if you saw that.
I ain't seen that yet.
Oh, I can't give it away.
Don't give it away.
It's
Never
really
mind.
Oh, I did watch it.
You watched it?
Well, what I should say, it
The
watched
betrayal. I'm
me.
like-
It watched me.
See, you
It
trying to
watched
say
me.
something. I'm going to download it.
I'm gonna
You
be
The other
honest,
thing I
guys.
want to
It's
say
really-
is this,
it's
though,
really
too. When it works well, right, there was a show that we did that I was championing. I was like, this is great. It's going to work like I often do. It was very expensive. The budget did balloon well past what I thought. And
This will be in the book.
It was going to be in the book. It didn't work out like I thought, right? Humongous loss. So Melissa could have been like, told you so, right? And then I could have been like, trying to hold me back. I'm going to get it back this time. Next time it's right.
I got a plan. I got a plan.
I got a plan. I'm going to learn. But what happens when you learn and you see each other as a partner as opposed to an enemy, you can say, let me take some of what she's saying
Mm-hmm.
so it's not that I'm going to stop, right? I'm not going to make anything. I'm not going to take a risk.
Yeah.
But maybe I can take a mitigated risk so
Yep.
that next time if I lose, I don't lose so much.
It's calculated,
right?
yeah.
It's calculated.
Yeah.
It's like one thing I'm learning, I often, I don't know if this is just the way I am. This is Taurus. A lot of times I say I don't believe in astrology, but then everybody says everything I do is 100% because of Taurus
Taurus stuff.
I hate when it works out that we're like, dang.
I like, man, it'd be like me to a T. Like I
Yeah.
got whatever they say I got. I can be very bullheaded and like I'm doing this and I'm gonna learn. But what I've learned is if I take some of her great qualities
Yeah.
and add them to how I see the world, they are more mitigated risk. And if I win big. One time we were having a meeting, I was like, worst case scenario, if I listened to the way Melissa would have done this, if I lose, my bet is hedged. If you win, you still win big.
Yeah.
Right? For me, it's always win big or lose big.
Yeah.
And it can't be that way because
Can't be
when
that
you
way all the
lose
time.
big,
It crumbles the family.
it can be dangerous. And to a string, it's like you done killed our resources, blah blah blah.
Right.
And I think that's part of marriage. I think
Yeah.
it's part of the reason why you're attracted to somebody who has different qualities than you. But if you can do it right, you can win better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because in the past,
You can lose better.
yeah, even lose better. But my big wins have helped get us where we are.
Right.
But if I
Yes.
look back in the past, those were mitigated wins with her input.
With counsel.
You know what's crazy? Hardest period of our entire marriage was in 2020. Funny enough, not because of quarantine.
Really?
No.
Not because of quarantine, but
We were creative. We worked at home already.
Oh, okay.
And Brian was already like home, like
Got it.
not really. We were
I
traveling
was
for a
virtual.
bit. Yeah.
I was traveling, but then I was virtual, working from home for a while. And we loved it. We actually loved
Yeah.
being next to each other and working together. But the hardest season of our life was in 2020. We had just had our first child. We were building a house, and I was flipping a lot of houses on the side at the same time. A lot of bad decisions that were made that were uncalculated, that she told me to calculate prior to. I kind of blazed past that, thinking, you're not an expert in this field. I'm the one that studied this for 3 years. I'm the one that has people and connections, and they tell me this and
Does
this and
sound
that.
familiar?
No.
And so she tells me, hey, you shouldn't do business with this person. It's too personal. They're too close. That's going to be an issue. Hey, you should check this person out more. You shouldn't trust them. You shouldn't. All these things. We lost everything we had.
Oh.
We lost everything. So we're in the middle of building our home, like our next home, our more expensive home.
Oh, no.
And we lost $100,000. Like that. Contractors stole a bunch of money.
That's
B-
this is
business
our
deals
story.
went south. Like everything happened all at the same time. Now we're in quarantine. We have a new child. We're trying to work through postpartum stuff too, of learning to be parents. But there was underlying resentment toward, and I can't ever blame, but I mean Lexi handled it so much better than I would. I mean, but like it was a very difficult point for us because it goes back. It brought up so many underlying things of, do you value my opinion? Do you listen to me? Do you actually care about what I think? Because I don't care if these people are experts in their fields. I'm your wife. And this has to do
Time
with
out,
me.
Brian. Time out. Time out, Brian. Verbatim.
Really?
Word.
Wow.
I mean, and I'm not even using the word verbatim as like, I mean
No, like-
verbatim.
Wow.
Different
Pull up
industry,
receipts.
exact words,
Wow.
exact scenario. We didn't lose everything, but we lost big.
We lost
Man.
everything.
Man.
We went from having a good little nest egg to in debt.
Dang.
Overnight.
We
Overnight.
became vagabonds.
Vagabond.
We were like,
you had the stick
it
with the
wasn't
little,
bad parents
with
like
the,
that, but
with the
we had
red
no
and
idea.
white, like the cartoons when they're like, they have no place to go.
Listen,
They're looking for a train.
We literally went to Tennessee, and partly because we had nowhere to go, but also because we were in the middle of quarantine.
The home wasn't done yet. It got delayed.
The home wasn't
Oh,
done yet.
that's-
It got delayed because of
Oh, you
quarantine.
literally were vagabonds.
We had nowhere to go.
Because
I
there was
thought
a
you
home
meant-
being built.
It was
that
both.
you-
It was both.
It was both.
It was both. Like we had places we go, but we don't want to keep asking our parents and stuff to
Absolutely.
stay. So I remember us driving back because we went. We said we went on vacation to go to a cabin and stay there.
And it was the week after our rental home's lease was up. And they said, if you don't do another full year, then you can't stay here. They were not doing month to month. We got another
We were
4
staying with
months
our
to figure out with our parents.
our
Our
parents
house
and
is
our
being
brother
done built.
and sister. It was six of us, 7 of us, and our baby, and all of us had to disperse. Like all of us had to figure out where we were going. And they went somewhere where it's like, okay, well, we can't stay there. And at the end of the day, we were driving home, and we were like, where are we going?
We realized on the way
going?
home from our trip that we didn't have a place to stay tonight, and we have a baby. And it was probably one of the
You
most
guys were
irresponsible
unhoused.
things. We did not have a place to stay. I think we stayed at Lexi's mom's house that night, and we got an Airbnb for a week after that. And then we went from the Airbnb to I think her mom's house, and it
And you
went
talk
back
about
and
a
forth.
dreamer. Babe, I got a plan. It's coming. Like, I talked to the contractor. It's going to happen. Oh, babe, it didn't happen right here, but it's going to, babe. Like, it kept, like, okay, all right, so it's happening. Oh, wait, no, it didn't happen. Oh, wait, so it's happening. No, oh, wait, no. I'm like, okay.
And
So
now
we don't have anywhere to go.
We finally found a month-to-month apartment that would get us until the house is being
Built.
built. But we moved 5 times in 4 weeks
Wow.
Dang.
So wait,
with
now,
a newborn.
with the biggest question is, what did you learn from that? What advice would you tell you then, knowing what you know today?
It's so funny because I think there's business advice I could give, but from a relationship perspective, there has been key strategic points in my life where I had to make a decision. And that was a moment that I wish I made a decision earlier. Do I value my wife's thoughts?
That's
Do
so
I
good.
value my wife more than the idea of making money, more than the idea of where can we go, where can we elevate to, what if this works? But all of those things, I am a dreamer in that sense. So
Yeah.
you're starting to see a little bit of kite come out
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
like, I see what life could be if these things all pan out, and I want that, and I'm going after it. But it was at the cost of our marriage. And so what I would have said is nothing is worth the cost of your marriage. And if you are not on the same page, doesn't matter what I don't care if there's 100% guarantee of success. If you're not on the same page, my marriage is worth everything.
That's
and it's
good
worth
advice,
more
Brian.
than anything else. It's the same thing as compromising our beliefs or our morals with Christ. Like, if it doesn't align, I don't care what the outcome is. It's not worth it.
That's good, Brian. What you got to say, Kevin Fredericks?
This white male has lived my life in a different city and state. I mean, it's literally.
And who has watched Friends?
And who's watched Friends. He's multiverse Kev. If Kev was white and grew up in Detroit, went to Michigan, that's
Troy, Michigan.
multiverse.
He's a multiverse Kev. That's
Because
fantastic.
I promise you,
That's
is
good.
a lesson I learned to the T. I mean, to the T. And the part is, as a dreamer, I believe, I'll just speak for me. It probably is true for you, but I'll just speak for me. In my mind, not only is this working for me, when it works for all of us.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right? And
I'm doing this for the family.
I'm doing this for the family, which sometimes is a lie.
That's
I
an absolute
found.
lie. 100% lie.
It's 100% lie. But we lie to ourselves.
I wanna talk
to
about
tell
that,
ourselves
too.
what we want to believe to move how we want to move.
Yes.
100%.
The thing that I realized is the exact thing that you realize. Like, sometimes I am so dream oriented that it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
Right? And that cost of Melissa's trust, her feeling valued, that cost is not worth the risk, even if it did work. But I did not always believe that. I always believed that it was kind of like, almost like Thanos, in the sense of like, this is my goal, and
It's
whatever
worth everything else.
yeah,
What
but
did
what
it
did it
cost
cost?
you?
It cost me everything. So, and one thing that I always am checking myself about, and this is like a recalibration thing that I do with myself, I don't want to win at the expense of.
Yes.
Right? So if I become as big as Tyler Perry, right, which is a dream, I want to be big, I want to fly private,
Yes.
I want to give all these people jobs, but it comes at the cost of my marriage, I have lost.
Yeah.
Because I know I will sit in that house that can be as big as the state of Indiana, and it won't matter.
And I don't want to.
If it's empty, if I'm empty, if I'm lonely, like, the truth is, if I have this house we have now, or if we live in a 3-bedroom in Mississippi or whatever, anywhere, South Dakota, but our house is full of love and joy and laughter, then it doesn't matter.
Wow, y'all are sounding.
This is crazy,
That's
actually.
multiverse.
This is crazy.
And this industry
I've said that
will-
exact. I've said if I need to make only 30,000,
I've
40,000,
done it already.
but I'm in a janky apartment with my family that loves me, and we're doing game nights, and we're
If
spending.
all
I'm
we
good.
have is Uno night, then
I'm
Uno
good.
night it is.
and we've already lived that. right?
Yes.
That's one of the benefits of us not popping early is we live that no money life,
Yeah.
game nights, and I don't have a bad memory there.
Yep.
We had great times
Yep.
with Melissa was a master of planning stuff for $0.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did all the stuff,
do so many
zoos and
things.
traveling and
Yes.
I mean, all the pictures. Like all you remember is the moment. You don't remember like she went to her sister's house. Her sister was on food stamps. We had so many state-sponsored picnics and barbecues because all of our homies was on food stamps, and we had the house and we had the grill. We all
Having
chipped
a
in.
good old time.
Eating good.
Eating good.
Lamb, so we was buying stuff that didn't belong on the grill. We don't even know how to cook lobster on the grill.
You
right?
season
We
it
don't
right
figure
out there. It's okay.
Right. So I think, and it's up to us to value that, because you can then start to see your partner as an enemy who, like Melissa was saying earlier, doesn't believe in you, doesn't think doesn't think it's gonna work, and really you need to see them as an asset.
Yeah.
Right. And if you value the person, then to me the life is more important than the success.
And we don't need to go there. I'm gonna say this real quick, and we can pop right back out.
Okay.
We're
Yes, sir.
church kids.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from a ministry perspective, there are too many pastors who put ministry
Come on.
as that vision,
Come on.
as that dream,
Come
and they
on.
will fly everywhere. They will do everything in the pursuit of helping people, in the idea that they're fulfilling a higher calling, and leave their families high and dry.
100%.
Not at home, not taking care of the kids, not taking care of your marriage, and now we're saying that this is what Christ looks like, and that's false. That
Right.
is not what Christ looks like, and so that's why people look at that and that are not churchy, that are not Christians. and it's like it ties in so many different facets of
1000%.
life. Like marriage is the foundation
Absolutely.
of everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was I was thinking about this when you were talking about cookie cutter, and I think what helped us a lot to kind of get out of that box was when we went through IVF. And I was like, I know we want to talk. I don't know if that
Go
was
for
good
it.
to talk, but it
you
made
go.
okay. We
It's
just
a y'all
flowing.
story.
Yeah, we're just
Just
flowing.
flowing.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I didn't know if there was order. You know, I'm trying to think about it. But yeah, when we went through IVF, like I think that was a huge hit for us of recognizing, like, I can't believe we have to, pray to have a baby. We have to have faith to have a baby. And we had this cookie cutter life. Brian had a good job. We got our first house right after we got married. We moved in. Like everything was just this was it. This was great. This was life. And then it just started to all like crumble and change, and dealing with that was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're talking about this, and I want to go a little bit deeper, it sounds like I'm going to just ask y'all can tell me if you want me to cut it out. Were you virgins on your wedding day? Hello?
Some in the air.
It's hot.
You see something?
It's
babe?
hot in here.
You see something in the air?
Who turned the heat up?
Wait, this is when like everything's fine. You shaking the water. Don't want it to spill.
Are we still
That was
recording?
the most well-timed water drink. Even though you had already started to drink it, boy, it came at the
That was
perfect
perfection.
time. I just happened to be thirsty at
The
this moment.
synchrony of it all.
Very thirsty.
I mean, that was fantastic.
Ain't said
I'm
nothing.
sorry.
So I'm gonna say this. We can decide if we want to put this in there later.
Text me later.
Let's put it this way. I'm not giving my mama the link to this podcast
There we go. There we go.
because to this
Mama.
day,
Prophet is cold.
to this day, I don't know if my mom knows that we weren't virgins.
To this day,
To this day.
you know what? As parents, you don't. Even if you,
They don't
knew,
need to know.
You
You
don't
don't
want
think
to
they
know.
wanna know the
I
answer.
don't
Yeah.
want to know.
She don't want to know.
Can I? I'm gonna share a quick story, and this junk was hilarious. We are at a family dinner. Lexi and I've been married for about 5 years. I've told my brothers. My brothers know that we weren't virgins.
My
when we were
mom,
a
my
kid.
mom knew, a few years back.
Yeah.
No,
Just
no,
found
no,
out.
no. We didn't have sex with anyone else. Like
Yeah.
our first time was each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But,
That's what y'all first said.
But I'm at dinner with the whole family, and my older brother's engaged at this point, and she makes a statement. They're talking about how hard it is to abstain. She says, "Well, if Brian and Lexi can do it, so can you." And we all just looked at each other like,
And this is the moment where they decide. This is the moment where they decide. Are they
Are we
our
going
real
to
brothers?
tell
Are
the
they
truth?
for us?
Yeah,
or are
are
they
they
against
against
us? Did I do anything recently?
Right.
No.
That you finna out me.
I promise
Because his brothers are like my brothers. Like we are very, very close. Like we've been together since we were 18. So we're like,
Yeah,
that's
y'all
them.
kind of grew up together.
We grew up
That's
together.
how me and Melissa's sisters are.
Yeah. So we looked at them and I was like,
we all
What are
stayed
you about to do?
stone-faced.
If you
face.
Because
I'm
the
a-
power's
and I-
in their hand. What
Oh,
are you
And
about
I
to do?
grew up with brothers. Like, I don't have sisters.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I about to tackle you right now?
Yeah.
You just let me know what we about to do today.
And we,
What
when
we
I
gonna do
tell you,
today?
we got
You wanna
through.
roll?
We got through, and all of a sudden, all the siblings quietly, just one by one, left the table, and we went in the other room and started
Calculating.
cracking up.
That's hilarious.
I mean, I don't want to make a joke of sex before marriage,
No,
but it
no.
was funny.
It was hilarious.
That
We
is
get
funny.
it.
What I was gonna say is that I was a virgin. Kev wasn't a virgin either. I was a virgin on our wedding day. And I often call it, even in the book, I called it, you feel like bamboozled, like tricked by this fairy tale image that's presented.
real.
If you do the things right, things come easy.
Yeah.
For me, it was like the what do you want to call it? Like sex drive. Like I did all these things right. I was a virgin on my wedding day. When I get married, I'm finna be a hoe. It didn't work that way for me. So you think like, oh, we did all of these things right.
Yeah.
What? A hoe for my husband.
I hope my husband.
Yeah.
All the
my
songs
dream
that
is
I
to be
can't
a
listen
hoe
to,
with my
all the
husband.
songs I can't listen to,
Yeah.
Cardi B, I'm here.
I'm
Like,
here,
I'm here.
period. I'm finna be a hoe for my husband.
Right.
So anyway, I say all that to say because you feel like, oh, we went to school and then we got married
Yep.
and then we bought the house and now we're ready to have a baby. This is so great. Look at us doing it exactly the way that God intended it to be. And then you're like, now wait,
Threw us all the way off.
why on God's green earth do I need to have faith to have a baby? God,
Because
that
all
wasn't
these
in the
other
plan.
people who don't even want kids,
Correct. When they do
shouldn't
it
even be
wrong,
having kids,
when they do it wrong,
easily getting kids.
easily having. You mean
And I
tell me
never-
the folks that was fornicating out here, not trying to get married, hate their baby daddy, they got kids. Meanwhile, we over here, we go to church, we love you, Jesus. We paying our tithes, I sing in the choir, I do all these things, and I'm the one.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I think a lot of people think that, okay, we just go through IVF and then everything is fine. But we recently because we've been through IVF twice, and we recently experienced grief through that, and this is where it starts to
story.
get a little spiritual because we were in the middle of IVF and
Had retrieved the eggs.
retrieved the eggs.
Embryos are already put together.
Yeah.
They're nesting. They're cold. They're on ice.
Yeah. To backtrack, we waited even a year before to do IVF again because we wanted to see, like, God, we don't want to put you in a box. Like, let's see if we can actually have this baby naturally. No, okay, it's not working. All right, we pray about it. We're just trying to get some guidance. We're like, okay, we're going to go through IVF again. In the middle of that, did all the things. We're about to do the egg transfer. And in between that,
Scheduled for like 2 weeks later or something.
yep. In between that, my period didn't come. I'm like, that's weird. And I got pregnant naturally.
Shut up.
In between that, I got pregnant naturally. And we are very into, we're very in our church family. Brian's mom is, a prophet in church. We have ministers all around us. So when you hear stuff like that, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a miracle. Like, this is a miracle, baby.
absolutely.
Yes. And so my first thought, and this is how I am with my relationship with God, even though I see it, I'm like, God, what does this mean? But everybody's telling me what it means.
Keep
and
in
they're
mind. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Keep in mind, the reason why we're not able to have kids is male infertility. So this is on me, which is a whole different story of stuff I had to go through to mentally grapple and get myself together about it. But now everyone's telling me this is God's gift to you. Showing you that it can be done and that he's healed you and he's this, he's that. Like now it's like bringing in the miraculous onto my side as well.
So it was very much like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. People are crying in tears. And so, but then we lost that baby. And so now.
So now everything you put into it is you're starting to question that.
We're questioning that.
Just the point where Lexi finally found joy in it. She went through a question period like, what does this mean? But she finally let go of that. We're 6 weeks and was like,
Meaning
oh
to
my
lean
God.
into.
Yes.
Lean into what people were
We
saying.
are experiencing a miracle.
We're experiencing a miracle.
This is God doing X, Y, Z.
Yeah. And now when we lost the baby, and it was very heartbreaking. Brian wasn't there, and we found out the heartbeat wasn't there. Like, I'm getting all the updates and everything's good. Now it's time to see the ultrasound. We're excited. Brian wanted me to change the date because he had a meeting. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm just hearing it, And we didn't hear the heartbeat. And they said, well, give it another week, and we're waiting another week. And now we're in this level like, God, what do you
This
want?
limbo.
What's going on? And so with that, now me and Brian have to understand how we're handling grief.
Yeah.
And it was very different.
And understanding what does this mean about God?
Yeah, I sure because how we handled grief was very different. Brian handled grief like, okay, I'm trying to understand God. this is hard. But my thing, I went into a deep hole
Mm-hmm.
of like, I need to make a decision of God, are you good?
I understand.
Do I believe that God is good?
Oof.
I remember.
And-
I remember. I was saddened by the loss of the child. That's where my focus and attention was. It was, I'm sad the baby's not here. And I also had to get to the point. I remember having a conversation with Lexi saying, like, listen, if we have believed that God is good despite tragedy and cancer and this and that, for everyone else, like, we cannot sit here and now, just because it's us this time, change his character. So
Sure.
we have
That's
to believe
good,
that
Brian.
he's still good.
Yeah.
But Lexi went through more of a journey with that process, and that process took longer.
And trusting him with the author of my story, because I believe that miracle is a great story.
Yeah.
For God, I'm like, that could be,
This is
we
gonna
could
look
talk
good on
about
your
this.
resume,
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, I'm saying, not to say you need me,
Yeah.
but it's like, this
Right.
would be great.
I'm an eyewitness. You want this firsthand testimony?
Yeah,
it's me.
It's me.
So the problem was, when we went through grief together and we support each other, and it was a beautiful coming together for our marriage. Like, we were in a good space, but like, that was just a very special time.
Sure.
Almost. It sounds weird, but
No, I
it's very
get it.
special,
I
very
get it.
intimate.
Yeah.
The problem was when I got over my grief and she did not. So she stayed in that place for longer than me. And when I got out, in my head, I'm good. You should be good too.
Right.
We were going through grief together, so you should be good. So I started to go back to saying things casually and not being sensitive and not being as intimate and not like protecting that sacred space that she was in. And that caused a lot of fallout. Again, it was like I think the season I described earlier was probably the number one hardest moment. I think this was probably number two in our marriage, and a season that we had to get through because she needed to know, like, where did you go?
Right.
Like, where are you? Why you're not here with me anymore?
You know what? Listening to you guys, thinking about like life and marriage, even on individual journeys, and we say this a lot, but your story, both of those stories, are such concrete examples of how much marriage is about learning.
Yeah.
Like, you are learning that person and yourself and navigating the ever-shifting dynamics of your relationship,
Yeah.
right? And I think people underestimate, and I always say this, and your story makes it even more clear. I think when people get divorced after long periods of time, they get tired of that,
Yeah.
right? Because that is a lot.
It doeses't go away.
It
Doesn't go away.
You
It
still learn.
never, ever stops. We were 21 and 20, 23 and or 21, 20 got married, so we're basically 8 weeks apart in age. So 21-year-old version of us, no kids, is one thing. 25 with 2 kids is two
Different
things,
people.
right? 30 moving here, another thing. 35, you know what I'm saying? Like, as you age and change, your kids grow. Like, you are always changing.
Yeah.
And also, it's not going to stop.
No.
When our boys leave, when they're gone 5 years, when they have grandkids, when you were the man and now you're not. You're making a lot of money and now
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah.
When you taking a couple L's in a row, who are you? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? When you're kind of unsure of what you want to do with your life, who are you? And your partner's got to learn to love that current version of you. And you guys were on the same journey, but a little different time.
Yeah.
And
Right.
just you going through the same thing,
But it's
but
just-
just this
Two
timing.
different,
Yep.
we're two
That's all it
different
took.
people.
That's
That's
all
all
it
it
takes is, and because you were the father and you're the mother, that could be the time. And also, it could have been this way,
Sure.
Yeah.
and it would have been a different dynamic. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what people underestimate. Of like, that's why we say marriage be hard, is
Yeah.
because it's a lot of work to do. And not like I'm joking about lifting weights, but one thing I found interesting, I used to lift weights a lot, right? And I got pretty strong. I do 225. I was up to 235, and then I stopped. And when you stop, your body it was like you never even
Forgets
could
that
do
it
that.
was
Yeah.
possible.
You'd be like, and I'd be like, bro, I can't even.
There's no muscle memory. I don't
What?
feel like that's the
None.
thing.
And I
I
think
really think it's muscle
our
memory. I don't
trainer
think-
was like, you can't stop.
Right.
You can stop for a day or two,
It's a
a week.
lifestyle. You have to do it.
If you stop, you will lose that strength. And I think that's the same thing about marriage. If you stop working on it, you will lose that strength,
Yeah.
that ability. And it's going to take that same amount of work to build back up. And you're kind
Yeah.
of constantly going to have to do it. And some will be some days when you're coasting and stuff. But if you stop caring, learning, changing, being sensitive, being protective, listening, honing, you are going to lose what you've built. And I
Yeah.
think that's what people underestimated because it's not always you cheated on me. It's not
No.
always that.
Honestly, a lot of our people, we don't. People that have gotten divorces, like we don't even hear the cheating part.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
that
usually not.
it's hard, and we have to like we're two different people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we learned even in that season is that we're legit two different people. So how we handle things, we can't see it from Brian's
Yes.
perspective and my perspective.
I never knew the definition of empathy. And this is crazy. I was 31 years old. I still didn't know what empathy meant. In my mind, I was very empathetic. I'm trying to be very empathetic, blah, blah, blah. But the definition in my psyche of empathy was, let me put myself in her shoes and figure out in her situation, what would I do?
That's good, Brian.
That's not empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And it took going to therapy and my therapist telling me, that's not empathy, Brian. And Lexi had to help me understand. Empathy is put yourself in her shoes and ask what would she do in that situation, because her whole character is different than yours, her experiences, her trauma, her this. You can't put yourself in someone's shoes and say, what would I do? Well, if I was having surgery, it's not a big deal to me because I don't really care about surgery. It's not about you. If they're afraid of surgery, you have to put yourself in their shoes and say, what makes me scared about surgery? How would I be feeling in this? Like it's just a completely different space. So when Lexi was going through grief, I had to come to the understanding of how is she grieving and what have her hopes and dreams been regarding this experience, and how does she see God right now? And through all of that, can I now understand what she's going through and better understand how to support her through that? Because I was trying to basically support myself going through that, and it wasn't hitting. And I was like, I don't get it. Why is this not working?
Our
Because
therapist gave us this. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say she gave an example like if you were a person and you're trying to understand somebody in a wheelchair.
Right.
You've never been in a wheelchair.
Right.
You can't even talk about that.
Yeah.
You're not that person. You will never be that person.
Yeah.
And so what you can ask is, how can I sit with you in this space? How can I be with you in this moment? I can't always understand. What I can do is you could tell me what to do and I can be there. We're very huge on safe spaces and communication.
Yeah.
If I'm frustrated, if I'm mad, if I'm sad, if I'm trying to figure things out, I want to have a safe space to be able to talk about that.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that I was just going to add to that. Our therapist gave us an analogy because I was struggling with the same thing. And to me, empathy was Melissa's in a hole and she's sad. I'm above her. I'm going to, hey, here's a ladder. Come out. I'm empathizing with you. I'm helping you. And the therapist was like, empathy is using that ladder and you go down in that hole and you sit with her. And that's how you support somebody. It's not always about pulling them out or because I would want to come out of it just because how I am. But true support sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes means, because if you don't, then it's just like, you don't really care. You just want me to move on or whatever. You're not really trying to understand my feelings. Sometimes it's just like, we finna be sad together.
Just sit in the hole for a little bit.
Just sit in the hole and be sad with me. Just sharing this moment with, and even our friends who lost parents or grieving or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes just let me come over here and we finna be sad.
Yeah.
And sometimes we gonna go over there and be happy. But it's not pushing them to do what you think is best, what you think is right, or what you think they need to do.
Because you want the air to clear in your space.
Absolutely.
That's selfish.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy if it's selfish because it doesn't feel like it.
No.
It feels
doesn't.
like
I'm trying
you're
to
helping.
help you.
Exactly.
I'm trying to help, man. You don't want my help, then fine. Stay in that hole. I'm not going to be sad with you.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm taking the ladder since you want to be sad, and I'm going to climb to the next
And then I'm going to tell you what I'm doing outside the hole. So you...
I just want to let you know I'm having a great time.
I'm having a great time. It's so
Great
fun
time
outside
outside
the hole. That's so funny. All right. What time is it?
11:24.
Oh, great. All right. Let's end on this. First of all, you guys have been phenomenal.
Outstanding.
You guys have
We've
been
loved
great.
being here.
That's
This
my
is
say.
great.
This has been a good vibe.
This is
It has
great.
been. I'm happy we turned on the camera when we did. Last thing, what pieces, you already gave yours kind of, so maybe I'll start with Lexi and we can work your way to Brian if you have extra. What piece of advice would you give your younger self about marriage?
Okay. I actually think you have a different one, but okay. I would say, girl, chill. Like, girl, chill. And I say that because we believe that there is like gifts that, God gives you. And then I believe there's perverted versions of those gifts. And so a lot of times what I like to do, I like to read a lot. I like to read a lot about self-development. I like to read about self-help. I do a lot of
Don't let me find out you me.
I know, right?
Multiverse
I'm feeling like it's similar.
They're the Miles
similarities.
Morales.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to just think about, where I am, how I'm viewed with other people. Like, I just like to read and understand myself.
Mm-hmm.
The perverted version of that is that my parents divorced when I was they got separated right after high school. And I did that because I saw that their marriage was not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, well, y'all not about to catch me.
Mm-hmm.
So I started reading a lot about myself. And so
Yeah.
when I got into a marriage, I'm like, Brian, we got to make sure that we do this. We got to make sure that we're, staying, we're staying relevant. We got to make sure that we're, taking care of each other.
me
We
tell you
can't
something.
miss each other. Like,
Lexi made it impossible for me to think that marriage was a fantasy. She was like, no, it's going to be hard. And we're going to go through a lot of dark times. And here's what we're going to do to get out of them. I was like, dang.
I was like, we need to read these books on the love languages of forgiveness,
Yes.
not the one that everybody else is reading. We need to read the forgiveness.
The 5
one.
languages of apology.
Not the basic.
Not the
That's
words of
basic.
level
affirmation.
101
Level
stuff.
101. We're advanced calculus America.
Right.
Come on. Love
Come on,
language of forgiveness.
y'all trying to read about this? We need John Gottman up here.
Yes.
Bring him in. I'm like, we're not talking about these simple. We're not talking about the basics.
Yeah.
So I would do that a lot. And every time we would get into like a little argument or a little fit, I'm like, oh my God.
Where's my books?
Oh my God. I need my books.
That's exactly what he told me about page 62.
I was like, Brian, we need to start praying. You do all, and so I think it's going to be okay. Like
That's
good.
I have to trust the man that I chose and he chose. We both chose each other.
Yeah.
Like, we have to trust that we are willing to make this work.
That's good.
Yeah.
And we're willing to just put in the work. Because at the end of the day, and I've even learned this recently, you can get married in 2 days, or you can get married in after 10 years of knowing each other. Work is work.
I agree.
Yeah.
It may be harder work,
Yep.
but work is work.
Yeah.
100%.
And I have somebody who's willing to put in the work.
I love
Go
it.
ahead, babe.
I think for me, it would be that vulnerability is a very beautiful thing, and to embrace vulnerability earlier. When we were dating, but then early in marriage, I hated being wrong about anything, because I felt it was a sign of weakness. I'm supposed to be the man. I'm supposed to know what to do. I'm supposed to protect this family. I'm
You
supposed
guys
to be the
literally
head.
might be
I'm
the same person.
visionary.
I can't believe I am not. I feel
We'll
like
talk
I am
afterwards.
talking. I feel like I am saying words and I'm listening to
You have
myself.
a white person.
Bruh.
It is a white twin.
Yes.
It's so, and it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it's like I don't want to be wrong because of all the things that she's gonna think about me. If I give an inch, it's gonna take a mile. Like I can't let anything go. So when it came to directions on Google Maps and the fastest way to get to the hotel, I would be like, no, I was right. I'd be blatantly wrong, and I still would be like, well, that's just because traffic at 5 o'clock is different. Like I would find a way to talk myself out of it, but I realized it was just my fear of being vulnerability. That how is she going to handle my insecurities? How is she going to handle me not knowing what to do? And how do I lead this family if I don't always know what to do? And the vulnerability just became something that she helped me understand was, we're not going to be a successful couple. We're not going to create intimacy until we both meet each other in that space and trust each other that she's going to take care of my heart, that she's going to be there to support me through that. She will fill in the gaps. Like, that's the point. She's going to fill in the gaps when I don't know what to do. And once I embraced that and learned how to apologize, learned how to admit I was wrong, learned how to do those things, vulnerability created a level of intimacy that we couldn't have gotten before.
And I was gonna say really quick, and this may be a little plug, but you don't gotta put it in there.
Okay.
But we are, as much as he wanted to be vulnerable, I wanted to create a space for him to be vulnerable. And I think sometimes we ask people to be vulnerable, but we're not creating a space
That's good.
to be vulnerable. So that's huge for us. And that's why one of the things that we're coming out with, which we don't need to
No. Keep
but,
it in.
Yes,
but
y'all.
we-
So,
okay.
My next question is, what do y'all want to plug?
Yeah, for
We
real.
really just got to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But we're coming out with a journal, and the journal is for couples, and they write in it together. And the goal is to create a space for communication, safety. How do you create your own? I can't tell you how you want to create your own safety and how you can create open communication in your household, but we can provide questions that you can talk about.
That's beautiful.
To be able to share and have open conversations.
Yeah.
Not just thinking about it, but like, okay, this is what you said about this question. This is what I said. Okay, let's talk about that. How can we find a union with how we want to handle this next situation.
And also providing guidelines for how to have those conversations.
That's
we are a
great.
big believer in frictional conversations. That's a good, positive thing to have, but not everyone knows how to do it.
Sure.
So just providing some guidelines so that they can have
I
that
like
space.
that.
That's
Frictional
beautiful.
conversations.
That's great. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to plug? Anything else you have going on, and tell the people where they can find you on the socials?
Yes. You can find us on YouTube, The Cole Life, Instagram @_ The Cole Life _ because somebody stole The Cole Life years ago, and you're not even using
I hate that second
name.
underscore. I'm like, this
Right.
is pointless.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just say The Cole Life. But and then also TikTok, The Cole Life, and what else?
I don't know. We might be starting a podcast soon. We'll see.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
we've
beautiful.
been thinking about it. We've
I
been
think
thinking
you guys
about
would be
it.
good at it.
Yeah, it's be fantastic.
Yeah, we've always wanted to. The problem is like, you know, do we want to have all that in our house? You know, it's just the thought of
the
that.
setup,
You know,
yeah.
the
get it.
set.
We ain't got studio level yet.
I
I
know.
know.
Oh, we did it
yeah.
in a little backyard for a
We
long
did
time.
it, and the Love Hour we did audio only.
I
and
watched the
had
Love Hour.
the phone, and we did it, recorded it on
That's
my
real.
iPhone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for real.
Like
wow.
that was,
And we love I watched the Love
Oh,
Hour.
thank you.
And we love your book. Actually, when you message us, I don't know if y'all get like emails on who bought the book, but
no.
literally I bought another book so Brian could read it.
Oh.
And then we
Before
got an
you emailed.
email.
Shut up.
We got an email the
book was
next
en
day. The book
Shut
was en route because
up.
I pre-ordered the book.
Oh, thank
So
you.
then I bought it for Brian so Brian can read it. And he's, you know, and then
Wow.
you sent the email. I'm like, this is crazy.
Oh, that's so
That is.
interesting. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Serendipitous. Okay, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
No, this was great.
This was freaking
awesome.
fantastic. It went exact. I love when conversations go like this. They
Yeah.
just flow and they don't feel all interviewy. Those are my favorite. Thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode of Marriage Be Hard. Thank you to our sponsors that are existing and non-existent.
the multiverse.
Are you there?
Are you there? We
Blink
love you.
twice.
Yes, we love you so much. Until next episode. Bye.
Peace.